Welcome back. You're still with Perspective, and we're still with Phelim Kine from Human Rights Watch. I never can get it wrong. Right. Can I come back to this religious extremism and how to handle? Basically, you're saying is that violence beget violence. It's not the good way to run. But how would you do about it then? If they're shooting at you, what are you just supposed to do?
I mean, the fact is that the United Nations has enshrined rules and regulations on the appropriate use of force. And the situation you describe, if someone's shooting at you, you can shoot back. What we're concerned about is situations in which large parts of the population are unfairly profiled and then are targeted for unfair investigation or religious or legal sanctions based strictly on their identity or their associations with people who might be suspicious in some way. And I mean, I should say that there have been worrying reports about Denzis over the years. But the fact is that in many ways, the Indonesian government's response to indigenous religious extreme violence, for example, Jamaah Islamiyah, etc., has been quite measured and has been quite effective without blatant and widespread human rights abuses. So I think this is the type of model that needs to be continued, keeping that balance between protecting people, protecting society, at the same time ensuring that those individuals who would do mass violence against society are identified, controlled, and contained.
Early warning is necessary in this.
Exactly. It comes down to not brute military force. It comes down to smart intel. It's investigation. It's shoe leather to make sure you know what's happening before it happens.
Right. Okay. Can we talk about something that is equally dangerous than terrorism, corruption, that has been like rotting the core of Indonesia? A lot of people are now actually increasingly fed up with the corruption and calling for a heavier penalty, including the capital punishment for the death penalty. What's there?
Well, I mean,
why is it there?
The situation, obviously, corruption is a huge problem in Indonesia.
It always has been, but in varying degree of openness, so to say.
One of the assets or advantages that the government has had in addressing corruption has been the Corruption Eradication Commission, KPK. And I think KPK has a fairly well-deserved reputation for being an organization which strictly follows rules of law, very cleanly and efficiently identifies and seeks to prosecute corrupt individuals. Corruption for Human Rights Watch is a concern because corruption has serious knock-on effects that have profound human rights significance. I'll give you one example. In 2011, our research indicates in just 1 year, 2011, corruption and mismanagement in the forestry sector of Indonesia cost the government $2 billion. Now that's just 1 year and one sector. That would have doubled the Ministry of Health's budget, which have been able to deliver far better and far wider services in terms of health to the people of Indonesia. Those are key economic and social human rights that are being deprived due to the fact that money is being siphoned off from the government coffers. So, we see this as an issue which has knock-on effects on human rights. And our position is Indonesia desperately needs a strong, impartial, and empowered corruption eradication agency to address these issues. And
like
if it doesn't,
like KPK,
something like KPK is definitely the way to go.
But one difficult thing about KPK is when you talk about this organization that you're talking about, one would need like really clean people. I mean, like in Indonesian history, it's very difficult to be clean, especially in an environment 20 years ago where everything was dirty anyway. How do you deal with it then?
I agree with you, and I do not underestimate the challenge in staffing and maintaining the standards necessary for an effective corruption eradication mechanism or agency. But however, if you take a look at other examples in Asia, if you take a look at Singapore, if you take a look at Hong Kong, places that prior to having very strong independent corruption eradication had the same problem and were able to transition. So it's not something you can change overnight, but it's something that you can definitely learn from, you know, people with best standards and apply them here.
Okay, we'll continue again. It's a 5-minute break, but just stay with us.